Hey there, it's John at Traffic Times Conversion Squared and back with episode 3 of the Google Ads Metrics Masterclass. If you haven't caught the first 2 videos, definitely check them out on our website, tcsquared.io, in our Facebook group, or of course on our Traffic Times Conversion YouTube channel. In the first 2 videos, we covered off the metrics you need to know, the numbers you need to know and understand, and how those numbers work together to run profitable and successful Google Ads campaigns. So definitely worth going back and checking it out. In this video, we're going to round the series off and close it out with a quick look at the metrics that you need to have in your Google Ads dashboard, which ones really matter and which ones don't matter as much. And then we're going to finish it off by just looking at some of the bidding options you have within Google Ads and which of those are most recommended. So jumping into it quickly, what Google Ads metrics matter? Now this is a question we get asked a lot of the time, either from our clients or from people we coach or consulting with. And so by this, people are saying, well, I've got my Google Ads dashboard. What are those columns and all of those numbers in there when I'm looking at it? What do I actually need to pay attention to? And the answer to that is really there are some things that a lot of people think are really important that are just not actually that important, and at the end of the day don't result in you getting more money in your pocket. So I really like to break these to all of the metrics you can possibly track that are relevant to your Google Ads down into 2 groups. The first I call optimization metrics, and the second I call money metrics. So optimization metrics are metrics that you pay attention to in order to help you make decisions to improve the performance of your ad account or to improve the performance, to optimize your account, right? But in and of themselves individually, they're not really, the number that's attached to that metric is not really indicative of success or not, right? Whereas on the other hand, money metrics are really the metrics that are about how much money you're putting in your pocket at the end of the day. Okay, and that is what's the most important. Those are the most important metrics. If those metrics are happy, if your money numbers are good, then it doesn't matter what your optimization metrics say. Yes, you can use those to try and get more money in your pocket or to find ways, to work out ways to get more money in your pocket. But at the end of the day, if the money metrics are good, it doesn't matter what individual numbers are attached to the optimization metrics. So what are the main optimization metrics? And if you've watched through the first 2 videos in this series, you'll have seen us talk about some of these already. So we've got clicks, impressions, click-through rate, your average cost per click, or cost per 1,000 views if you're using a CPM model. The cost of your ads, the total cost, your conversion rate of your ads. And I'm going to come back to this one. This is a really controversial one, conversion rate, and what I think of conversion rate. Your search impression share, particularly if you're running Google shopping ads, your search absolute top impression share, your search lost impression share, rank, your quality score, and I've got in brackets for now there because it's fairly well understood that very soon Google is going to be getting rid of quality score and replacing that with other metrics. And if you're using YouTube, your view rate. So these are the metrics that, you know, they're a little bit important, but in and of themselves, they're not indicative of whether your account is successful. So it doesn't matter how many clicks you get or how little clicks you get. It doesn't matter how many impressions you get or how many impressions you don't get. And yes, it doesn't matter what your conversion rate is, right? Or what your conversion rate isn't, right? Yes, you look at these, you say, if I want more traffic, okay, I need to measure, am I getting more impressions or am I getting more clicks? I want to spend less per sale. Okay, so I need to keep an eye on what my average CPC is or my overall cost, right? But at the end of the day, these metrics aren't about what money you're putting in your pocket. Whereas the money metrics over here, revenue, return on ad spend, cost per sale, cost per lead, if you're doing lead generation, average order value, customer lifetime value, gross profit per sale, which is in the Google Ads context before you're taking out your ad spend, and net profit for sale, the money that you have after you've paid for your ads and everything else, i.e. the money that becomes your income or your company's income. That's really, at the end of the day, that's what's most important. And so if your net profit per sale is where you want it to be, guess what? It doesn't matter what your conversion rate is, right? And to go on a little bit of a rant, all over Facebook groups, forums, everywhere, people are going, oh, what's your conversion rate? Is my conversion rate high enough? I don't feel successful because I've only got a 1% conversion rate. I could have a 5% conversion rate. I want to have I heard this guy over here's got a 5% conversion rate, right? There's all this obsession around conversion rate, for example, and some of these other metrics. But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? Because the net profit per sale is what matters at the end of the day. And let's just look at a little example of this, right? I'm going to show you two different examples here. One is of a business that sells low ticket products or services. The other sells high ticket products or services. Now I'm putting this in the context of e-commerce for this example, but it could equate to services, digital products, anything else, right? So what I see a lot of is people who are running high tickets product businesses, right? They're selling things with a high price. And in this example, I've got an average price of $1,800, okay? And they're always sitting there worrying about what's my conversion rate. I've heard of this guy, he's been talking on Facebook group, and he's got a 5% conversion rate. And then you ask them, okay, so what's this person selling? Oh, well, he's selling toothbrushes or, I don't know, fidget spinners or some rubbish like that, right? So in our low ticket example, we've got an average price of $35. Okay. Now you work your way down through there, and you see a lot of things here. You know, average profit. The low ticket has a pretty high profit margin there. You know, you're making $25 profit off a $35 sale, whereas the higher ticket one, you're making $400 off an $1,800 sale. Our cost per clicks are different, right? Because you know, low ticket products are often a bit cheaper to advertise from a cost per click perspective to high ticket, even taking into account that the high ticket CPC is, you know, more than triple the low ticket one, which isn't always the case. We're basing this on 2,000 clicks, right? For 2,000 clicks, the high ticket offer is going to turn in a cost of around 3,000 compared to 800. Now, conversion rate, 0.8% for a high ticket product. Now, that's actually about right, to be honest. A lot of people talk about wanting a much higher conversion rate when they're selling high ticket goods. If you have actual traffic coming in, and quite a bit of traffic, very rarely are you going to have a conversion rate of over 1%, right? If you're actually trying to grow your business, you might get to 1%, maybe 1.2. Whereas if you've got a low ticket, your conversion rate is going to be much higher. It might be 5.5, it might be 3 or 4 or something like that. That's about where it should be, right? And so obviously, you know, at a 5.5 conversion rate of 2,000 clicks, you're turning in, you know, over 100 sales. But whereas on the high ticket of 2,000 clicks, you're only going to get 16 sales at that 0.8% conversion rate. But look at the rest of the numbers. This is the difference, right? Obviously the revenue numbers are significantly different, but the gross profit, the net profit, and the ROAS, look at the ROAS, right? It's incredibly different. So even though this high ticket store only has a conversion rate of 0.8%, it doesn't matter. It's still way more profitable, not to mention easier to manage by a long stretch than the low ticket store, right? But it doesn't matter. The conversion rate here is irrelevant as a comparison tool or a measure of success, right? I mean, we've got clients who have a conversion rate of 0.2 on an e-commerce store, and they're still doing 6 figures a month, multiple 6 figures a month, and multiple 7 figures a year, even getting close to 8 figures a year on a 0.2% conversion rate, right? So that is not the measure of success. What is the measure of success and whether your ads are ultimately successful is those profit markers, it's the ROAS markers, and whether you can maintain those numbers and grow your account. Because if you can, It doesn't matter how many clicks you get. It doesn't matter your conversion rate or any of that. Those are not the most important numbers. So I want to round this off just by going over the Google Ads bid strategies and which ones are good to use and which ones are not, right? So a lot of people, once again, we've been talking a lot about bidding throughout this series. And so where does that fit in to the overall Google Ads things? A lot of people ask about the different strategies. Now Google adds more and more every so often. And it can be a little bit confusing as to which one's good and which one is bad. So at the time that I recorded this video, these are the current options you have in terms of bid strategies within Google Ads. Now, not all of them are available for every campaign type, but these are the overall ones that you have. You have manual CPC bidding, where you set a max cost per click for your campaign or for your ad groups. And so if you're using that type of bidding or manual CPC with the enhanced CPC, which is the next option, you want to know your ideal max cost per click or your break-even max cost per click, which we talked about how you work those out in the first video. Then you have maximize clicks, which is an automated bidding strategy, which means you're telling Google, I want you to get as many clicks every day given my overall budget. So Google's going to try and get you as many cheaper clicks as it can within the budget that you've set. So when you're using an automated strategy like that, even though you're not setting the bids yourself as such, you still need to understand all of those numbers and metrics and the equations that we talked about in the first video. Because even though Google's running the show for you, you still need to be able to analyze and measure the success of that campaign using those numbers, right? You still need to know what is a good cost per click, what is your target ROAS, all that sort of stuff, okay? The next one is target CPA, which is cost per acquisition. Once again, this is an automated strategy. And it goes hand in hand with target return on ad spend, which is the next one. Both of these two are where you're giving Google a target. You're saying, I want you to get as many sales within my budget at a cost per acquisition of $3.50 or less, right? Or I want you to get as many sales within my budget at my target ROAS of 7x or 10x, right? So Google then takes what it knows about your conversion history, and to use these effectively, you must have a regular history of conversions within your account. So your conversion tracking needs to be turned on. It needs to be tracking conversions accurately, and you need to have been getting conversions for at least a few months regularly. So not a couple here, a couple there. I mean, generally, you want to be getting sales every day of the week to use this effectively, because what Google is doing, it's using what it knows about the people who have converted off your ads and comparing that to the data that it has on every user and picking out, who's the more likely person given the search terms, etc., to complete a sale in your workplace, and it's tailoring your bidding and your auction performance according to that. So if you have no conversion history, you've really got nothing for Google to work effectively off. The next one is maximize conversions, which is an automated strategy again, wherein Google is just going to try and get you as many conversions as it can, regardless of the cost per conversion or the return on ad spend. Okay, so it's just going to, or the cost per click or any of that. It's just going to do whatever it thinks it can to get you the most conversions. Now, the next two are quite newer ones actually. Target search page location. Once again, an automated strategy for search text ads. If you say, I want to be in the number one position out of those 3 or 4 search text ads on the page, I want to be on number one all the time, Google will say, right, well, we're going to manage your bidding and we're going to bid whatever we think you need to bid all the time to always be in the number one spot, right? So once again, your costs there could vary quite wildly based on that. Target outranking share is a bit similar, where you're giving Google a target for how often you want to outrank your competition. And so once again, it's an automated strategy where Google says, right, we take that target you've set and we're going to control your bidding however we want so that you attain that goal. And it doesn't matter how much per click we think you need to pay, we're just going to manage that whole process for you. Cost per 1,000 impressions and cost per 1,000 viewable impressions are ones that are generally used on the display network or YouTube, and that's you get charged a manual charge for every time you receive 1,000 impressions, or in the case of viewable impressions, it's a little bit more technical than that. So once again, if you're using that type of bidding, then the numbers you need to know, rather than how many clicks per sale, how many clicks does it take to get you a sale, etc. You need to know, how many impressions, 1,000 impressions does it take for you to get a sale or to get your desired outcome. And so cost per 1,000 impressions kind of replaces CPC in some of the equations we talked about in our first video. And then finally, cost per view is a YouTube metric where you will be bidding each time your YouTube video ad receives a view usually it's over 10 seconds before you get charged. Now, those are all the bidding strategies. Which ones do I think you should use and which ones do I think you should not use? Well, here it is. I've used the green, red, good, bad simplification of this whole thing to show you what I think is good and what is bad. If it's in green, they are ones that I recommend you use if you have the data to. If it's in red, I recommend you don't use them. So for the green ones, the automated strategies in green, I only recommend you use them once again if your account has the data to support it. So if you've got a brand new account, don't worry about target CPA or target ROAS yet. Even if you know what your targets might be for those numbers because you've worked it out, just don't worry about it yet, because Google won't have the data it needs to make the right decisions for you, and those will not perform well. You will be able to make your account perform better with a manual strategy. But once you do build up quite a bit of conversion history in your account and you know your target numbers well, if you've watched the first two videos, you'll know them. Absolutely, you should be testing these things. In 2019, Google's algorithms and its AI works very well. And we've conducted a huge amount of tests with these things now, and in the right account with the right amount of data and that's tracking everything accurately, they definitely do produce good results. Likewise, the red ones, we're saying I would recommend you don't use them at this point because you lose a lot of control, and particularly in the case of target search page location, target outranking share, those are not results that are based on money, right? So those might be good. If you just wanted to absolutely blast your competition out of the water and you didn't care about the cost of doing so, then those would be good options, right? But most of the people that I talk to, people like yourself, are generally not going to be in that position where you're just going to throw money against the wall regardless of the outcome, right? You will have a goal. You will have a profitability goal that you want to meet. And it's very hard to reach those with target search place location, target outranking share, and maximize conversion bidding strategies. So I recommend that people steer away from those and just focus on experimenting with and using the ones that we've got here in green that are relevant to the types of ads that you want to run. So look guys, that brings us to the end of this series. I really hope that you have enjoyed the 3 videos in this series and that it's going to help you or whoever you work with to manage your ads better manage your ads. If you've got to the end and this is all still extremely confusing and you want help, or you know you need help with your Google ads or other pay-per-click advertising, please get in touch with us here at tcsquared.io. We'd love to work with you and help you. Just get in touch, leave a comment below this video. You can, if you're on Facebook, you can direct message me. or jump on our website tcsquared.io and leave a message there, and we'll be more than happy to help you out. Thanks for watching. See you next time.